Are you ready? It is time for another episode of Broad Street and Beyond, where everything Philly sports at Central PA is in play. We leave those New York sports in the penalty box. And now, here's Chase and JT.
Well, it's been a minute, and Broad Street and Beyond is finally back. We have returned. Of course, we had to wait till baseball season started, right? That's JT. I'm Chase. Welcome aboard to Broad Street and Beyond.
Hey, where you been? I was here last week, and you stood me up.
Man, our schedules are so busy these days now that we're into the warmer weather and everything that's going on. We couldn't find time last week. Shame on us. We should get a slap on the wrist for that. No Broad Street and Beyond last week, but we are back here this week from, of course, the beautiful Fairview Golf Course Studios, celebrating great golf here in Central PA for well over 60 years. Get out there. It's golf season. Book a tee time online at fairview.distinctgolf.com. How you been, JT?
I've been fantastic. I was going to say I'm loving the weather, but now today, I'm having trouble dressing properly for the weather these days. Yesterday, I got away with short sleeves, and today I decided to go short sleeves again. And I was outside for a little bit, walked down to get the mail, and I'm like, oh, man, I'm a little chilly. It used to not bother me, 20 some years ago when I was, much, much younger. And now I'm like complaining. I'm like an old man. I'm like, oh gosh, I'm cold. I just want to get inside where it's warm.
Man, you don't look a day over 23, though. I can tell you that.
Thanks.
You don't look a day over 23.
Where are my slippers? Where are my damn slippers? That's
Did you get your dentures in today? Did you remember those?
I did put those in. So yeah, I haven't
Nice.
I haven't taken my teeth out yet.
That's good stuff. Well, welcome back, YouTube world. We're so glad that you are here. Just a reminder to like, subscribe, share. Make sure you subscribe and get caught up to date on all the latest episodes here of Broad Street and Beyond in about another week and a half here. We're going to have Jake Starr from the Reading Fighting Phils. He is their play-by-play guy. Rundown, of course, opening night down at First Energy Stadium, of course, down in Baseball Town. Huge opening night that they're going to have on April the 7th. We'll talk to him, get all the details, what's new down at First Energy Stadium, all the good stuff. So that's coming up here in just a little bit. But we're going to warm up JT, of course, with the top 3 questions that we certainly missed last week. JT, are you ready to go here? Get you warmed up?
Lay it on me.
All right, buddy. Here's the first one. Kind of relates to the jersey that I'm wearing. Which was the better uniform, the Phillies powder blues or the late 70s white pinstripe jersey with the zipper?
Powder blues by far. Yeah, I've always been a fan of that. I think it should be the regular uniform. When I was growing up, I used to refer to it as, instead of powder blue, I called it awesome blue because
Yeah.
I think they are. I love those uniforms.
Best uniform in all of baseball by far. Second question, man. This goes back to St. Patrick's Day, which is probably like months ago now. Did you have any green drinks on St. Patrick's Day?
I did not have any green drinks on St. Patrick. No green beer. No
dye?
No, nothing like that.
Oh,
Not
man.
even nothing St. Patrick's Day related. Well, what was going on at St. Patrick's Day? It was like really cold, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
And
it
it
was
was just
not nice.
yeah. Tuesdays are kind of busy, and there just wasn't really time to do anything. I guess I could have done like a St. Patty's Day weekend,
Yeah.
but I didn't do anything on St. Patty's Day. I don't.
Yeah, I think St. Patrick's
didn't
Day
have
fell on like a weekday, though, didn't it? It was like Tuesday, right?
It was
Yeah,
a
it was
Tuesday. Yeah.
Yeah. That just destroys everything, man. St. Patrick's Day should never be on a weekday. I don't know why they do that.
It should be on a Friday.
Yeah.
Just St.
Yeah.
Patrick's Day observed.
Should be like
on a Friday.
the second or third Friday in March. That's what they should do. Should be that way every single year. Should not be just on March 17th.
I agree. What do we need to do to make that
I
happen?
don't know. Call somebody
Oh.
important. Not
Okay.
us. We can't make that change. Third question, my man. Your favorite flyer of all time? You got one?
Favorite? Yeah, I do have a favorite flyer of all time. Number 12, Tim Kerr.
Tim Kerr.
Yeah, do you remember Tim Kerr?
I remember Tim Kerr, but I was not expecting you to say Tim Kerr.
Who were you expecting me to say?
I was expecting like Eric Lindros, Bernie Perrant, You know,
Uh, I
you know,
wasn't even born when the
you know,
Bernie
the
Barack was
Legion
the.
of the Legion of Boom. I mean, anybody. I mean, I was expecting somebody maybe more flashy. I wasn't
Well,
expecting Tim Kerr.
Tim Kerr wasn't very flashy, but he was also very, very effective. He had 4 straight seasons of 50 goals or more for the Flyers, and I attest to this day that had the Flyers been completely healthy in 1987 and Tim Kerr was in the lineup, they would have won the Stanley Cup.
Wow. I was expecting, I mean, even throwing Michkov in there, he could have been one of your great Flyers, Michkov, could have thrown him in the mix.
Not yet. He's on the list, but nobody beats my Timmy Kerr. That guy
Man,
was immovable in front of the crease. He
yeah.
he used to get so many power play goals just by camping himself out in front of the net, and you couldn't move him.
Wow, Tim Kerr. I'm still shocked. I don't know if I could continue here on this Broad Stream Beyond episode. Tim
Is
Kerr.
that it? All right.
I
See
think
you,
we're gonna.
everyone.
I think that's a
All
wrap.
right. All right. I'll talk to you next week, buddy. All right. See you. Bye.
That's pretty good. All right, man. You're warmed up now. I think you're ready to go. So after we got the 3 questions out of the way, let's get into those sports, JT. We had a big day yesterday of baseball. I was down at Citizens Bank Park yesterday for opening day. Beautiful day for baseball. The Phils taking on the Rangers. High expectations, of course, for the Fighting Phils this year. Nothing less than a World Series appearance, I think, this year. Is expected out of that team that's down there in South Philly this year. Great start for Christopher Sanchez. Got pulled after 6 innings, 10 strikeouts. I'm sure you saw the game. What were your thoughts, man, on opening day baseball yesterday?
Well, that was as far as Sanchez goes. That's as good as you could have hoped for.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if you want to nitpick, you could say you wish he would have pitched 7 innings, and that would have cut down, how much they would have had to use the bullpen. But I guess opening day they don't want to extend him too much, so they took him out after 6 innings because that's where baseball is these days. So 83 pitches, I think he threw in 7 innings.
Yeah, 87, I think. Yeah.
Oh, 87 pitches.
87,
Okay,
I think it was, yeah.
I knew it was in the 80s. So, I guess they probably didn't want him to throw 100 pitches. So if they did put him back out there in the 7th, I mean, I guess he could have had a really quick inning, but there was no guarantees at that point. Fastball looked good. His location was excellent, and he just got better as the game went on. I actually thought he looked better in the middle innings than he did even earlier in the game, like first 2 innings, and he was just. I mean, I think he might have ended the game, I think, with 4 straight strikeouts, and he was pumped. He looked like he could have easily gone another inning, and he's earned that spot now. Like he's gotten better and better in his Phillies tenure, and he earned the right to be the opening day starter, and he delivered. I mean, I think who knows what we'll have to wait and see what we get out of Nola and what kind of Zach Wheeler we get. But right now, he solidified himself right now as the ace of the staff, and he backed it up yesterday. So it was really exciting to watch him dominate like that.
Yeah, and even his strike ball ratio was just absolutely incredible. I mean, through 5 innings, he was at 75 pitches, 50 strikes, 25 balls in his ball strike ratio. So got a little dicey, though, in the 9th inning there, man, with Kyle Backus coming in to give up 3 runs in the 9th inning. I mean, we left in the top of the 8th inning. I thought the Phillies sealed the deal. I thought we were going to go home with a shutout win. And next thing you know, Kyle Backus enters the game and gives up 3 runs in the 9th inning. Got a little dicey there.
I guess they were thinking that with a 5-0 lead that they wouldn't have to dip into their top end high shelf relievers. They had gotten a scoreless inning out of Bolin and a scoreless inning out of Pop in the 7th and 8th inning. So I guess they thought they could throw Backus in there, and it completely backfired on them, and so then they had to go to Duran. But you would have thought that maybe. I guess maybe, I don't know, 5-0 must have been like them. If maybe it was 4 or less, they would have gone with the other guys, like Alvarado and Keller and then Duran. But I guess because you would think, well, they could use those guys yesterday, and they have the built-in off day today,
Right.
so that they could rest. But I guess they were trying to avoid using them, and it kind of backfired. And what was could you hear a collective groan in the stadium when it was happening?
I couldn't, but I could hear it through the radio when when it did happen. I mean, you could literally hear it on the radio with Fransky and Larry as well. I mean, you could see it was going downhill quick. I'm just glad he brought in Duran when he did and sealed the deal in that ninth inning. I mean, it got very, very dicey there in that ninth inning. Listening to it on the way home yesterday, but I'm just glad that Duran came in the ninth inning, sealed the deal there for the Philadelphia Phillies, get their first win. And you know what they say, JT? You can't go undefeated unless you win that first one, right?
That's absolutely correct. That's right. You can't win the Powerball without buying a ticket, and you
Yeah.
can't go 162-0 without winning that first game. So wait a second. Let's back up here a second. So you
Sure.
were at the game. You were at the game yesterday.
Yes, correct.
Okay, and
What an
and you didn't
atmosphere.
and you didn't stay till the end.
No, we didn't stay till the end, man. I'm the
What
guy
not?
that I'm the guy that beats the traffic, man. I am not a traffic guy. Flyers started at 7 o'clock last night down there in South Philly. There ain't no chance I was staying until the end of that game. There was
And
no way.
when did you get out of there?
Mm, Top of the eighth inning, we left. Top of the eighth
Okay.
is
Okay.
when we got out of there. That's when a lot of people started funneling out. I mean, it seemed like the Phillies had it in the bag by the time after the bottom of the seventh. Came up and now let's not get it confused. It's not Zach Top, the country singer. It's Zach Pop that we have on our Philadelphia Phillies, not the
Oh, okay.
not the country musician Zach Top. That's what Minnie said to me yesterday on the drive home. She said, "Did he just say Zach Top is pitching for the Philadelphia Phillies?" I'm like, "No, it's Zach Pop with a P." But pretty impressive by him. I mean, also, who was the other guy they brought in there prior to Zach
Jonathan
Pop?
Jonathan Bolin, I
Yeah,
think his name
Bolin, he
is.
pitched pretty well too for the Phils. It was good to see Schwarber, that first at bat. I mean, everybody's expecting Schwarber to hit a home run. Not expecting it his first at bat of the season, but nice for him to go the opposite direction. Alec Boehm too. After of course Schwarber and Harper strike out with 2 outs remain, and Boehm comes up with the big 3-run home run. That was pretty impressive to see for Alec Boehm too.
Yeah, that was the key part of the game there because it
Yeah.
looked like the Phillies were ruling in business there, getting the first two guys on, and then Schwarber and Harper strike out. So you're thinking this is yet another, kind of you're thinking same old because we've seen this kind of situation before where the Phillies, that's what plagued them last year and in the postseason, not being very consistent with runners in scoring position, and Bohm came through. In a big way, and that was clutch. But I just want to get back to the fact that you left in the top of the eighth inning, and I think you really should be ashamed of yourself. You
There,
really.
I can't even remember a game where only a playoff game. I've stayed the complete game down in Philadelphia, but there ain't no way I'm staying in that traffic, man. Just talk to my wife and ask her about my road rage when it comes to traffic, because it ain't good. It ain't good.
So it's a road rage thing with you.
Yeah, it ain't good. It ain't good,
Well,
man. I get stuck in traffic. I am I am not the guy you want to be around when that happens. I can tell you that.
don't you kind of expect that, or don't you? Yeah, don't you expect that going in? That's part of the deal. That's
That's
part
why
of the, that's part
That's
of the
why I leave
charm
at
of
the
going.
that's why I leave at the crack of dawn to go to the games, and that's why I leave early so I don't get stuck in those kind of things that's gonna make me upset and make my stress level go up.
Well,
So I avoid those things.
did you get out of there quickly?
Oh yeah, we got out there in no time. I mean, we left at it was right before the Flyers game. People were pouring in for the Flyers game. It was 6:30, I think. I was home by 8:15. I
Yeah,
like
but
it.
let's
Perfect.
be honest. It's the Flyers. Were they really pouring in for that game?
They were. That day was packed. It was a packed
Okay.
house for the Flyers last night. We'll get to the Flyers here in a little bit. Let's also talk about Justin Crawford too, man. What an impressive debut for Justin Crawford. Turner had a good game as well. Marsh, so did Stott. Not so much for our man Bryce Harper, 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. But talk about Justin Crawford.
Well, he's one of the X factors that we talked about going into the season.
Yeah.
Now he's going to start out in the 8th spot, but I mean, if he's a guy that can get on base, I'm sure he'll be up higher in the lineup before too long. Looks like he plays a good center field. And if he's as good as he was advertised to be last year, I mean, that's a huge boost to that lineup. They need those guys in the lineup. They've got the guys that can hit the ball out of the park. They've got power in their lineup, but they need some consistency and guys that can get on base and hit for average. And hopefully he's one of those guys. We'll see what happens. It looks like he likes to put the ball in play, and I think it was good overall for the lineup yesterday. 6 of the 9 guys I saw had at least one hit, so that was good. So you want to see the offense get spread out throughout the lineup. That's the one thing you want to see. So that was good to see, on top of the effort that they got from Sanchez. So I guess if you're nitpicking the two negative things, and we're Philly fans, I mean that's what we do. We like to point out the negative too, but it would be the late inning bullpen, and then the fact that you would have hoped that you would have saw something better out of Bryce Harper yesterday.
Yeah, and JT Realmuto too. I mean, he struggled a bit at the plate yesterday too. Hopefully, that's not a sign of things to come here upcoming for JT Realmuto and also Bryce Harper. You want to see something cool? So, Minnie actually got our picture taken with Justin Crawford back in Reading, right? You see this picture? Look at this picture. I'm going to show this picture.
Oh,
nice. You see him in the Reading Hot Dogs uniform?
That's cool.
So I sent that to Minnie Hopper earlier this morning, and I said to her, hey, I do remember you getting a picture with Justin Crawford. And she said, you know what you should do? You should put him in a Phillies uniform. And now look how amazing AI is these days. Look at that. So there he is in a Phillies uniform now.
Oh, that's crazy.
Great. Isn't that crazy?
Is great.
Phillies uniform down in Reading at First Energy Stadium. But it's good to see. I'm glad he's getting off to a good start. He got that first hit out of the way. Of course, he had his friends and family. Of course, his dad was in attendance yesterday down at Citizens Bank Park in the Phillies. We'll get back at it again coming up here on Saturday, JT. Just your overall thought of opening day for the Fighting Phils yesterday.
Again, I think it was great. It was it wasn't perfect, but rarely is everything perfect. But it's about as good as you could have hoped for. They scored enough runs. You'd love to see every game somewhere in that 4, 5, 6 run range. That's not going to happen, obviously. But you wanted to see how Sanchez performed. He was fantastic. They got enough offense. They got the timely hit by Bohm, and it was I think a solid opening game win.
Yeah. And one thing about the game yesterday that was pretty cool, where they brought out the all-star guys of the past, like Ricky Bottalico. They brought out Schmidt, Luzinski, and Larry Boa yesterday to throw out the first pitches, which was pretty awesome with the all-star game being down in Philadelphia this year too. Did you catch any part of that, of the first pitches yesterday?
I didn't get a chance to. No, I didn't get a chance to tune in until the I think it was like the second inning. Yeah, the second inning is when I heard Schwarber's home run, and then I watched it from the second inning on. So, inning number 2, which meant you were only about 5 innings away from getting out of there, from leaving.
Pretty much. Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Opening day, there's nothing like it in baseball. And yesterday, too, we'll briefly talk about Pittsburgh and also Baltimore-Pittsburgh. Man, what a game for Paul Skeens, eh? Couldn't even get out of the first inning yesterday. They lose 11-7 to the New York Mets. His line, 2/3 of an inning, 4 hits, 5 runs, all earned, 2 walks, only 1 strikeout. He took the loss in that game. Man, what happened with Paul Skeens yesterday?
Well, part of it was he wasn't as sharp, obviously, as he's been. So there's some traffic on the bases early. They staked him to that 2-0 lead in the top of the first. It was Derek Lau hit a 2-run homer in the top of the first, but he really got hung out to dry by some lousy defense. I mean, I think you saw that. You saw the 2 plays in the outfield by O'Neill Cruz in center field. The first one, what ended up being a bases clearing triple for Brett Beatty, it looked like he just got a bad read on it. He broke in on it, and then he realized that he broke the wrong way and tried to go back. And then I think the wind helped it a little bit, push it over his head. But I think by the time he realized that he couldn't scramble back, So then at that point, you're thinking, okay, well, you just kind of flush that one, but then he dropped that ball dropped right beside him. The fly ball that led to their, I think it was the fifth run that made it 5-2, if I'm not mistaken. So right there, they were just kind of behind the eight ball all game, and they were never able to. I don't know how strong the middle part of their relief is, but clearly with Skeens on the mound, you're not expecting to have to dig into
Not that early.
your long relief and your middle relief that early in the game, and that just kind of knocked everything. Everything went off the rails at that point. Then.
Yeah, offense didn't seem to be a problem for the Pirates yesterday. 10 hits, 11 hits for the New York Mets yesterday. I mean, O'Hearn, Gonzalez, and Lowe all had good games, 2 for 4 for Pittsburgh. Bo Bichette, not so good with the New York Mets debut, 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts for Bo Bichette yesterday in that game. Not a good start for him either.
Now, I think he did have a sac fly, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
That played. I think that floated the first run, but yeah, I'm sure they'll be looking for more out of that. I still think the Pirates. They kind of clawed their way back a little bit in that game. I still think that they're going to surprise some teams this year, and I think they're going to. I still believe that they're going to be in the wild card mix, but um, you got to figure. How, how does that game play out if O'Neal Cruz doesn't have those two nightmare plays in center field? You're thinking it's probably not going to be 5-2 after one inning. Then obviously if that happens, then Skeens is still in the game for much longer than 2/3 of an inning. But he there was a lot of traffic on the bases all game for the Mets.
Yeah. Pirates Mets, they'll resume on Saturday for game number 2. So do the Phillies and the Rangers. Baltimore, they get a win down at Camden Yards, 2-1. Stellar pitching performance from Trevor Rogers for the O's, 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts, and 5 hits for the Orioles in all. I mean, 2 for 4. Gunnar Henderson not really effective for the Orioles yesterday in that game. He was also 0 for 4. Your thoughts on the Baltimore Orioles opening up with a win?
Yeah, that was I think there's some good vibes down there at Camden Yards this year, and I think they have high expectations to get into the postseason this year. Trevor Rogers was fantastic. It makes you wish that we would have gotten that Team USA could have gotten another start out of him in the World Baseball Classic, but he was terrific. Now they also played some pretty good defense behind him. The Orioles turned 3 double plays in that game. But again, he was strong right up through the 7th inning. And then they got just enough offense in I think it was the 7th or the 8th inning. I'm trying to remember. It was pretty late in the game that they got those 2 runs. And then they brought in Ryan Helsley in the offseason, and he was fantastic. Closing that game out. The top of their lineup wasn't too great yesterday. I think the top 3 of their lineup didn't have a hit, but they did get some production in the middle towards the bottom of their lineup. So again, I think that's kind of the cool thing. You talked about nothing like opening day, and I agree with that, because the one thing about opening day is at least you got that one day where it's just like everything's optimistic for every team. No matter who you root for, you got that one day. Even if you win or lose, it always seems like you can find something positive to take out of that, and you're still optimistic. And then like 7 days later, you're either on top of the world, or you're like, that's it, I'm done.
I'm
the
done with
season's
this team.
over. They stink. They're horrible. But opening day, it's just like everybody has that optimism and that hope for their team, and it's just, I don't know. There's just always something. It's a long baseball is a really long season. It's hard to stay engaged the whole regular season, but just for that opening day, there's just always that little bit of extra excitement in the air.
Yeah, Adley Rushman, he had a good game. The catcher for the O's, 2 for 4. Had a double in there, but as you mentioned, the top 3 hitters for Baltimore yesterday were 0 for 11 with 4 strikeouts to start the season off for Baltimore. They'll resume that series with the Twins tomorrow as well on a Saturday. Let's go back to the World Baseball Classic. Just touch briefly on that because I just got one main question for you, JT. Now, Venezuela, they won the World Baseball Classic, beat the USA. Where's the trophy go? Who takes the trophy home? Where does it go?
Oh, that's a good question. Does it go to the manager?
I don't know. Where does it go? Like, where does that one trophy that they give away in the World Baseball Classic, who does that go to?
Maybe it goes into the Venezuelan Baseball Hall of Fame. Is there
Do they have one?
I don't know.
I'm
asking you.
I mean, even if USA would have won, where would the trophy go? Because like it's not like all those guys are going to be on the team, down the road in the next World Baseball Classic. So where exactly does the one trophy that you win in the World Baseball Classic go? I just want to know that.
If the U.S. would have won it, it would have gone to Bryce Harper. I think.
You think?
Next to his empty carton of raw milk. I think that's where it would have gone.
Yeah, not with the way he performed, but I have to agree with you there on the carton of the raw milk. That's pretty good stuff. That's the only question I had, man. Any other thoughts on the World Baseball Classic at all?
Obviously, a little bit of a disappointing result. In the end, it was fun to watch. It's kind of I think maybe depending on how the U.S. is doing, maybe it gets excitement ramped up a little bit more for the baseball season. It's kind of cool to see some of those guys playing together. It was fun to see Harper and Schwarber and Aaron Judge, and then for a split second you're thinking, oh, that'd be cool if Aaron Judge was on the Phillies. It looks like all three of them get along, and then
he didn't have a good opening day either.
No, and then you kind of watch the championship game, and then it's like they kind of came up short, and you're like, it's kind of like watching a Phillies playoff game sometimes. It's like, too many guys striking out. Hey, one thing I wanted to bring up, I don't know if you saw this. Speaking of the Phillies, this is Phillies related.
Okay.
This story broke right before first pitch about Alec Boehm is suing his parents. Did you see that?
Yeah, he didn't want to talk about it. He didn't want to talk about it. I guess, hey, I mean, even your family might backstab you every now and then and take, they didn't just take like a $50 bill. I mean, it was millions of dollars that they must have kept in handling his finances. And I guess after the game, he was asked about it, I guess, in the locker room, and he did not want to speculate or even talk about what's going on with that. But that is a crazy, crazy news story, especially for opening day.
Well, and apparently the suit was filed on Wednesday, so the day before opening day. Yeah, so it just happened this week that he filed it in Philadelphia County Court of Common Pleas. So, that's crazy. So apparently they were taking some of his money and putting it into these LLCs that he claims that he didn't have complete access to, and there wasn't enough transparency, and they were taking 10%. Like what he had access to was capped, and they were taking 10% of his earnings and putting it into an LLC, and then when he confronted them about it, they were they charge him something like $50 an hour in order to handle his finances. It's a crazy story. There's a lot more that'll come out, and this is obviously just the beginning. There isn't going to be a quick resolution to this situation, and I don't know, when you hear about that, you have to wonder how much of that has been weighing on him, and whether or not that's affecting his performance. Maybe filing this lawsuit is kind of a little bit of a relief for him, that he's doing something about it.
So mom and dad, and you're saying weren't at opening day yesterday? Probably won't be at the weekend series.
They were at the ballpark. They were buying drinks for everyone.
Apparently so.
Drinks were on the bones yesterday at the ballpark.
Apparently so. I mean, that is something that you don't normally hear, especially in a professional sport of any stretch of the imagination. You hear all the time in little league sports, little league baseball. It always happens where somebody, the treasurer, or somebody's taking money, or these clubs that people have. But you very rarely hear that in the world of sports, and especially with your own parents. So it's like you said, maybe that's been weighing on him. Maybe it was weighing on him last year. Maybe it was something that he was already made aware of until he got actual proof of what was going on with his parents and actually stealing that money. But hopefully this doesn't stretch out, during the season. Maybe it's a quick resolution in the courts and they get it straightened out and he can work it out and focus on baseball alone going forward.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be. These lawsuits typically don't go quickly. So, hey, so what did you have at the ballpark yesterday?
Too much to eat, man. We started off our tailgate with some tacos. Then we got into the ballpark, and then we had a couple of hot dogs because if you went out to out by the kids area, they had a place, the ice cream place that's out there by the climbing wall. They had $3 hot dogs out there for the game yesterday, so I had a couple of those. Got a Tony Luke's cheesesteak, got some French fries,
there we go,
and had way too many cold ones.
Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. What was the line like for the? Because every time I haven't been down there for a little while, but every time I go down there, the line for the Chickies and Pete's crab fries is always like a mile long.
It wasn't bad. It actually, I mean, even the line at Tony Luke's out there in Ashburn Alley wasn't too bad. I mean, you could walk right in, and I think they got it now set up where everything's almost pre-made. They got it sitting out for you, so it goes fairly quickly these days. But it wasn't too bad. The only crazy part about Ashburn Alley was at the beginning when the whole Phillies decided to come in through the outfield there, but. Besides that, man, it was not crazy at all, and I have to say that Jason Kelsey would have been proud of me with my drink choices yesterday and the choices that I made of what to drink at the ballpark as well. A lot of garage beer.
Okay, good. I think if I get down there this season, I'd like to try that Schwarber Sunday. Did you?
Oh, yeah, I think we saw a glimpse of it yesterday. I think it's in I mean, it's not like one of those mini helmets that you put ice cream in.
Oh, it's like
I think it's like the next size. Like it's like I think it's this big. Like because we were walking down outside of our seats and somebody put one of these helmets that looked like it looked like the size of a cantaloupe. It really did. My God. And I think that's what the Schwarber Bomb Sunday. I could be wrong, but whatever's in that. Like next mid-size helmet type thing, whatever's in it is absolutely enormous. It probably could feed like a family of 10.
Oh, so it's something for the whole family to share. I thought it was like
maybe.
I thought it was something in one of those mini helmets that would goes high, like it's piled high. But you're saying it's a bigger helmet.
It could be, but I saw a bigger helmet that somebody had some sort of ice cream in it, and I don't know if that's like the next size up ice cream sundae, but. It was absolutely enormous.
No Bulls barbecue for you, huh?
Nah, no Bulls barbecue. Not this time around. Not this time around. Maybe next game. Maybe coming up here in May when we go down there again.
Okay.
But nothing like opening day, man. Let's switch gears over to the National Hockey League. We'll start off with the Washington Capitals. Philadelphia Flyers still kind of hanging tough. I don't foresee them making the playoffs, either one, but the big game for the Washington Capitals last night as Alex Ovechkin gets the hat trick. Also, our Hershey Bear, Miroshnichenko, gets 2 goals in the game last night. They get a big win, 7-4.
Yeah, happy for Miroshnichenko getting 2 goals. That was well, and you kind of he's definitely has the ability. So you weren't.
Oh yeah.
I don't think we're surprised that it was only going to be a matter of time before he broke through. And it's going to be it'll be interesting to see. He's obviously going to be a big part of their future. It was nice to see them get the win last night over the Mammoth, who themselves are. In fact, I think the last time I saw, the Utah was in a wild card spot in the Western Conference. So a key win for Washington, but. Like you said, I think it's just a little bit of a too big of an uphill climb for them. Yeah. The thing that you got to look at, and we've talked about this before, it's not so much points back. I mean, that's a big part of it, but
games.
If it's games, and then the fact that you, depending on how many teams you have to jump over, because then the more teams you have to jump over, the less it is in your control. Like if there's like 1 or 2 teams that you have to pass, okay, you could kind of see your way. But when it's like 3, 4 teams, now you're relying on those 3, 4 teams to all play bad at the same time while you go on a tear. It's just the margin for error is just it's just way too small.
Yeah, and I don't see that happening. Go ahead,
Yeah,
buddy.
Flyers. Yeah, and the Flyers are in the same boat too.
Yeah, yeah. Flyers are in the same exact boat. I mean, they were tied last week for fifth spot. I don't know. Are they still tied for fifth spot? Caps and the Flyers in the Metro Division right now?
I think they are. I think they're right there, but I think the Flyers might be listed above because the Flyers, the last time I checked, I think they might have like 2 games in hand on the
Yeah.
Capitals. So they have more opportunity to get some more points. I think for the Flyers that the real I mean, they were hanging by a thin margin. That game against Columbus the other night was the key. I think they had to pick up a win there, really, preferably a regulation win, and they fought, but it was a chance for them to really make a statement to say that we are a team that is going to make a run here and we're going to make the playoffs. But they got the win last night over the Blackhawks. But I think and coming up, they play a lot of teams that they're chasing. So again,
Right.
there's still opportunities. But I really feel like in order to have a legitimate shot to see their way through that, they were going to have to win that game against Columbus.
Yeah, it was a good game last night for the Flyers. 5-1 victory over the Blackhawks down there at Xfinity Mobile Arena. Going back to Ovechkin too. I mean, he had to throw in the empty netter to get the hat trick. Did you see that? It was an empty netter that he got to get the hat trick.
Whatever it takes,
No
though, right?
surprise, right? No surprise. I'm just saying. I'm just saying, Johnny. I'm just saying. Just saying, you got to throw those empty netters in there every now and then to complete the hat trick, nonetheless, last night for Alex Ovechkin.
They all count the same in the stat sheet, right?
That's right, they do. That's right, they do. So do you see either of them making the playoffs, either the Capitals or the Flyers at all? Or you just think
No,
it's too
no.
much of a jump?
I think it's too much of a jump at this point. I think the Flyers especially, I think not too long ago looked completely dead in the water. They came back from the Olympic break and have played pretty well. They were a little slow out of the All-Star break, but they played pretty well. I think what's really going to hurt them in the end is that terrible stretch right before the Olympic break, and then the fact that I think too many games. Um, I think they needed some more regulation wins as far as tiebreakers go, but there were just too many games that were a grind, and they just really, if they could have kept a little more consistency, at least treaded water there right before the Olympic break, maybe we're talking about something different. But they just fell off a cliff to the point where it looked like the season was lost and that they were almost quitting. So credit to them and credit to Tocchet for getting them motivated. Um, and I think they made that trade. They traded Bobby Brink and they brought up Alex Bump from Lehigh Valley. I think he's given them a jolt because it allowed Michkov to move over to the other his natural wing position, and I think he's played better. Um, and again, they have played better, but you can just see there's a lot of missing elements on this team that would make them uh, maybe a consistent playoff team. So hopefully a lot of that gets addressed coming up in the off season. And then of course, if you're watching the college scene right now, if you're a Flyers fan, you're keeping track on how Michigan State does because as soon as they get eliminated, my guess is that they sign Porter Martone to his entry level contract, and he could get into some Flyers games here before the end of the regular season. That provided that Michigan State, or it might not be for a while because Michigan State has a pretty good team, and they could go at least to the Frozen Four, perhaps.
And one of the nice things last night, too, about the Flyers, they got off to a hot start where a lot of those games this season, they've been getting off to very, very slow starts. And last night, they got right off the hop.
Yeah, there's been a lot of games this year. I forget how many it is, but it's like one of the higher percentages in the league in games where the Flyers have surrendered the first goal. I mean, there's been a lot of games where they've given up the first goal. Now they are one of the league leaders in come from behind wins because of that. Um, but yeah, it's getting off to a good start uh, has not been consistent for the Flyers this year.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens with the Flyers here and the Capitals rest of the way out. One team that I would not want to play once you get into the playoffs is going to be these Pittsburgh Penguins. Crosby again left the game last night, second period, lower body injury. They got the win going into that game, though last night they lost two straight after they beat Ottawa last night in that shootout. What do you see going forward here with the Pittsburgh Penguins? They've been playing pretty darn well here of late, the past couple of games, and last night could be a little bit of trouble now with Sidney Crosby going out again.
Yeah, I thought they did like a pretty decent job weathering the storm while he was out. They did reasonably well on that road trip. Then they had the big loss to the Carolina Hurricanes. And they played Carolina like 3 times recently. They had an overtime loss, a shootout loss, and then they lost to them 5-1. We've said before we didn't think they were going to catch them for first place, but they got Crosby back, and now to lose him again, that's where you start to get a little bit concerned. That is this going to be something now that lingers on for the rest of the regular season and possibly into the playoffs? They're a playoff team. I mean, the way they've played this year, I would say they're a playoff team without him. But in order for them to make a big playoff run, I feel like they have to have him in the lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I mean Raquel, Kindle's been playing pretty well. Carlson's been playing pretty well for them too, but not having the main guy there, Sidney Crosby. Malkin's been playing really decent this season too, but no timetable as far as what's going on with Crosby. They didn't release that today, did they, at all?
No, no,
How
I think
significant it is?
I think they're going to take their time with that. You know, again, I guess if you're looking to be, it's kind of been a mixed bag. So that the win at home over Colorado last week, and then the overtime loss to Carolina, like that, that gave you room for optimism. But then they played those same two teams this week, and they lost pretty handily, 5-1 and 6-2. Now they did get the win over Ottawa. But it'd be interesting to see because they do have I would say a pretty tough schedule. We've talked about this before. They got Dallas coming up this weekend. That'll be a tough game. The Islanders who have faltered a little bit, but they're right in the mix for the playoffs. Detroit as well. I'm just going to quickly take a peek over and see what their April schedule looks like. So they got Tampa coming up in the beginning of April, so that'll be a tough game. Now their schedule does thin out a little bit over the last 2 weeks of the season. So if they can get through the early part of April, I really think they're going to be in a good position, not only to make the playoffs, but I think they can hold on to one of those top 3 spots in the division. But again, they do have, Columbus, who has been completely resurgent this year, is right on their tails, just 1 point back.
Yeah, last week they flip-flopped there. Columbus actually took the second spot there in the Metro Division, but now the Pittsburgh Penguins, after the win last night, back in second place in that Metro Division. So we'll see what happens with Crosby. Hopefully he's not out long-term here for the Pittsburgh Penguins in their playoff run, because they're going to certainly need him going forward in the playoffs. Switching gears over to the American Hockey League, Hershey Bears have their own struggles going on right now. They have now lost 4 straight after being embarrassed by Belleville a couple weeks back in a weekend series where they got swept in those 2 games. Former Bear Graham Clark, he burned them, who they just traded. He had 2 goals, 3 assists in 2 games in that Belleville series. Then they lose to Bridgeport the following weekend. What is happening to our Hershey Bears up there in Chocolatetown, JT?
Well, it looks like they're starting to run out of steam.
Yeah.
I think the injuries have caught up with them. And now the fact that, Miroshnichenko went up to Washington, and, they have their reasons for trading Graham Clark, but I certainly don't think it's helped them offensively. And I think I'm my gut tells me they're still going to make the playoffs, but it's started to get into that like a little bit of concerning stage here because they've got to start racking up some wins here because they can't rely on the other teams to beat the other teams. And these other teams have, as the Bears have faltered, these other teams have played themselves back into contention. I mean, Bridgeport, who kind of was like an afterthought during most of the regular season, has been on a tear, and they're only a point behind. After they picked up 4 points last week, over the weekend, they're just 1 point back of the Bears for that fourth spot. You got Lehigh Valley, Springfield, who's in the seventh spot. They're only 2 points behind Lehigh Valley for the last playoff spot, and actually Hartford is, with 10 games to go, is not completely out of it either. They've got a much tougher hill to climb. But, and now the Bears are going on this really long road trip, and playing some good. They're playing either some good teams or teams that are right with them in the standings. So, the opportunity is laying before them. So they've got the Syracuse and Philadelphia on the road this weekend, and then they've got a Wednesday morning game on April Fool's Day against Bridgeport, a team that that they've, as we've just talked about, they've really struggled against recently. They're back up there, coming up on April the 1st. They've got back-to-back games next weekend in Charlotte. They still have a trip to Wilkes-Barre-Scranton. It's
They're
not an easy.
6 of 8 are on the road, right?
Yeah,
For the Bears.
Say that again.
Their next 6 of their 8 games are on the road, right? Coming
Well,
up.
I think it's actually a bunch.
More than that.
It's actually 1, 2. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in a row on the road.
Wow. Yeah. So 8 out of 10. 8 out of their next 10 are on the road.
Right, because they go to Syracuse and Philly, the morning game that I just talked about, and then I'm sorry, next weekend they have back-to-back games in Springfield and Hartford. Then the following weekend, it's back-to-back games in Charlotte. And then on the 15th, they're at Wilkes-Barre-Scranton. And then they finally come back home for the last 2 of the regular season on the 18th and 19th against Bridgeport, which, I mean, could loom huge. And then they've got the game against Rochester to close out the season on April the 19th. So a lot to play here. I guess it's so 10 games to go here, and this is it. This is one of the home stretch, and it's make or break time for the Bears.
Yeah, no slouch tonight as they take on Syracuse, who are in second place in that North Division. I mean, the only good news going forward here for the Hershey Bears is they're a better road team than they are a home team up there at the Giant Center. So
yeah, they actually, it's that's hard to believe when you think about how well the Bears have played at home in recent years. For them to have a better road record than they do at home, but that's how it's shaked out this year.
Yeah, we'll see. They get it started tonight up in Syracuse. Hopefully the Hershey Bears can do a little bit of a 360 here on this road trip and get it back together. But it's like I think you said, JT. I mean, it really looks like they're out of steam. They can't keep up with some of these teams. I mean, even if in that Belleville was in last place, and they just got outplayed in those 2 games, which you don't normally see from a Hershey Bears team at all.
No, definitely not. When you looked at those games, with Belleville, you thought that was a chance to pick up a couple of wins. I mean, that's why you play the games, but you really would have thought, especially, not only that, they were coming off they had that tough loss in Providence the weekend before, where they played really well, and Providence made that late comeback. And then that Friday the 13th, they got the win in Wilkes-Barre-Scranton, which they had mightily struggled against this season. And then, so you're thinking, okay, well, they've got some momentum built up, and then they came home and lost those 2 games to Belleville, and it just completely has fallen apart.
Yeah, Bears have lost 4 straight, and they have also lost the last 7 of their last 9 games as well. So they need to pick up that pace, certainly, coming up tonight up there in Syracuse. Broad Street and beyond, we're on the air live from Fairview Golf Course Studios. The beautiful Fairview Golf Course open for the season. Go check them out. Book a tee time right now at fairview.distinctgolf.com. Busy weekend ahead for the golfers out there in Central PA as we tune our way over to the Philadelphia 76ers. Look at this, man. 157 points. He scored 157 points the other night against the Chicago Bulls, and Tyrese Maxey wasn't even in the lineup.
No, they still don't have Maxi, and they still don't have Kelly Oubre. I think Oubre is expected back next week sometime.
Yeah.
I don't know about Maxi. Hopefully he's back for the playoffs. But they did get Embiid back, and they did get Paul George back. He's off of his suspension. So and plus the Bulls just aren't a very, very good team. But it was nice to see. There could be an interesting team in the playoffs. Right now, they would be in the play-in game for the 7th seed. But you would like to see them get out of that play-in spot and make their way into the top 6. Right now, it looks like they're a half game behind Toronto for that 6th spot. So it's not out of the question. They are a game behind Atlanta for 5th. So they could get as high as 5th. That's about as high as they're going to get. But they did clinch a postseason spot. So whether it's in the top 6 or whether it's in the play-in tournament, they are going to be in the postseason. So we'll see what happens. It's again, we've said this all year. You never know what the lineup's going to be from one night to the next.
That third quarter was huge for them in that Bulls game, 51-32. They outscored Chicago. Most points in a game since 1970 for the Philadelphia 76ers. I just got one question to you, JT. Do you think you and I, and if we assembled 3 other guys, we could have beat the Chicago Bulls and scored 157 points?
Absolutely not. Are you kidding me? There's an NBA player.
Good team. So, you know what I mean? We pick up 3 guys off the street, we might be able to beat them.
Well, it depends who we're picking up off the street.
Yeah, I don't know. Whoever you want. Whoever we pick up off the street. So that's kind of random, you know? We just pick them up off the street and say, you want to go ball it up with the Chicago Bulls and see if we can take them, man.
Only if you're running the point. Only if you're the point guard.
Yeah. I don't think you want me to be at the point guard. I'd probably be a better water boy than anything in basketball, but I don't think you want me to be the point guard.
Because we'd never see the ball.
Yeah,
exactly. Just go to you and that's it. It'd be like a black hole.
One serious question I do have though for you for the Sixers. Do you think that they've reached their potential this season yet? I mean, I think once they get, Maxey back and they get that lineup, where there's no injuries, nobody's going out of that lineup. I think they're from top to bottom. I think probably one of the best lineups in the NBA. Don't you think?
I don't know. I don't know about that. I think they could at full strength, whoever they play in the first round, they have the potential to give that team a tough series. So like let's say it's Boston or New York or Cleveland. Like they could give them a good series and they could push them a little bit, but I still wouldn't see them getting out of the second round. They haven't played enough together the whole season to get any kind of consistency, and it just seems like depending on who's in there, if Embiid and Paul George are in there, or it's Maxey's team, it feels like they play. They're almost like 2 completely different teams, and there's no consistency in style. But at full strength, they would be, in my opinion, a very tough first round out, but ultimately I would see them going out in the first round.
Yeah, I don't think they've really reached their maximum potential with the lineup that they have yet this season, with everybody actually being in there and playing some consistent basketball in that lineup. But maybe they just haven't played Andre Drummond and Kyle Lowry enough. JT.
That's what it is. Now that Kyle Lowry hasn't gotten enough minutes.
When he comes into the game, like it's like he's like an all-star for the Philadelphia 76ers when he comes into the game.
They love it, Kyle Lowry. I would say for your point to become true a little bit more, I would say like everybody would have to be back and playing together for like 10 games consistently going into the playoffs for them to have the potential to make a run and like be clicking on all cylinders. And I how many games have they played now? I've played 73 games, so there's 9 games left in the regular season, and I just don't think that there's going to be enough time and enough practice time for all of that to gel together again. But again, like I said, I really feel like at full strength, and hopefully they will be. They have a chance to be able to push whoever they play in that first round, and make it a really tough out for them.
All right, JT, I'm going to go with what you're saying, man. You know your sports, buddy. That's why I lean on you. I'm going with you with what you're saying with
Okay,
the Sixers.
you're
We'll
gonna
see what
you're gonna
happens.
you're going to
They're
you're
just
gonna
an
hold me to
average
that.
team from what JT's telling me.
No,
They've
no,
been
no, no,
flooding
no,
out
no, no,
all
no.
year.
No, they're
You
above
know,
average team, but they're not a. They're not. I don't think they're
they're not a
a
contender.
playoff contender.
Yeah, they're not a contender. Take on Charlotte on Saturday night. Let's wrap up this podcast, man. We missed a lot of stuff with the Philadelphia Eagles, man. They've been signing, they've been letting people go left and right. What are your thoughts so far of the ones that they have acquired? They now got Hollywood now as the one wide receiver, Marquise Hollywood Brown, signed that 1-year deal. Does that have any implications, of course, with A.J. Brown? Sidney Brown is gone. Marcus Epps is in. So is J.T. Gray. They've done all kinds of signings here in the offseason. What are some of the big ones that you're seeing here for the Philadelphia Eagles?
Well, I saw they brought back Fred Johnson again to be one of the backup tackles. So,
And
I
Andy
think,
Dalton as the
that,
quarterback
oh
mystifies me.
well,
Why do you bring in Andy Dalton? Please tell me why they brought in Andy Dalton.
third string quarterback.
For what? You
Well,
don't think
because you need a
Tanner
third string
McKee's?
quarterback.
Well, you
Tanner
could throw
McKee's
him.
Tanner
You could
McKee's the
throw him
backup.
on the bench, and we would have been the third string quarterback. You ain't ever going to see the third string quarterback.
You need a third string quarterback.
Yeah, you
What
could have
happens?
Jake
Well,
Elliott.
who?
Jake Elliott, throw him as he
He
could be.
has a hard time. He has a hard time being the first string kicker,
Yeah, I
and you
know.
want him to
Tell
be
me
the
about
third string quarterback?
it.
I don't know. I like Fred Johnson did a pretty decent job filling in last year for Lane
Yeah.
Johnson. Not as good as Lane Johnson, but I mean he was adequate enough. The Elijah Moore signing is intriguing. Apparently he's like best friends with AJ Brown. You keep hearing the rumors that post or June 2nd or after June 2nd is when you could see an AJ Brown trade because of the dead cap money situation. Um, I don't know. I guess where there's smoke, there's fire. But I feel like when you hear these AJ Brown rumors, it's just a lot of fluff.
Yeah,
Like
I think so too.
you're not really getting any like they're kind of talking around the fact that he's going to be traded, but they don't really tell you anything concrete or
Yeah,
anything new. They kept I think it was pretty well known for a while that if how much dead cap money the Eagles would incur if they traded him before June. But yet it was kind of like these rumors were out there every day that they're talking to this team and that the Patriots are interested and then the Rams are interested. And then as you get closer and closer, you hear, oh, well, something's not going to happen until after the draft. And it's like, well, if anybody had been paying attention, you knew that that's the way it was going to be. And the rest of
yeah.
this was just kind of like, I don't know, BS clickbait to generate some buzz. I don't know. I'm not as convinced as everybody else that he's going to be traded.
I don't either. I don't think so either.
There's part of me that just thinks that he's going to be back next year.
Yeah, Howie's a smart guy, man. I mean, I don't even know why you would even consider trading one of the best wide receivers still in the NFL in A.J. Brown and getting rid of him and sticking with, Hollywood and now Devontae Smith as your two receivers. I mean, I just don't I think I'm right there with you. I don't think an A.J. Brown trade is likely. I don't see that happening. And a lot of folks are saying here as we get maybe closer to the draft, it's going to happen. They're going to trade, AJ Brown for whoever, but I just don't see it happening. I don't.
Well, I guess the issue would be if he was that much of a disruption in the locker room, and he was what's that?
He'd be gone already if he was.
Well, yeah, but again, there's that money situation. How much they would be on the hook for dead cap money is what's holding this up. But I don't know. I think the fact they have a certain value in mind if they're even going to entertain that trade, and if nobody meets their price, I don't think it's going to happen. And you see what the kind of draft compensation that DJ Moore got when the Bears traded him, and again, I pause to think that he's automatically going to be traded. I don't think it's as much of a foregone conclusion as we're being that we're led to believe.
Yeah, for the Eagles to be a Super Bowl contender, I think they need A.J. Brown in that lineup. I mean,
I agree.
I don't know.
I
I don't know who
totally
you're going to
agree.
replace with him to say that A.J. Brown is gone, and then you replace him with whoever you replace him with. I really don't think you're going to be a Super Bowl contender, letting A.J. Brown go somewhere else and play for another team. I just don't. I don't see that happening. I really don't.
Well, we'll see what happens at draft time.
Yeah. All right, JT, this has been fun. Another episode of Broad Street and Beyond. We'll be back, of course, next week if we can find the time to get in another Broad Street and Beyond, the podcast. Like I said, we got Jake Starr, the play-by-play announcer for the Reading Fighting Phillies, as they're about to kick off their season coming up here April the 7th down there at Baseball Town. Man, I'll tell you what, the longest running affiliation in minor league and major league baseball between the Reading Fighting Phils and Philadelphia Phillies continues for another year. It's going to be a fun season down there in Reading. We're excited to have Jake Starr. If anybody knows of anybody else that we should have on our podcast, please feel free. Put a comment down underneath us here on YouTube, and we'll try to reach out to them. But it is not always the easiest thing in getting folks lined up here for Broad Street and Beyond. So that's why you get stuck with myself and JT on a weekly basis here for the past couple of weeks.
What could be better than that, right?
I don't think there is much. Cheesesteak from Tony Luke's is certainly above that. I can tell you that. But
well, yeah. I look forward to chatting with Jake and then talking some R-Phils next week. And then don't forget, right after that, the cast of Stranger Things will be on, and we'll talk.
That, huh?
we'll talk about what life has been like for them after Stranger Things.
And since we can't set up a podcast to do Broad Street and Beyond, I'm not sure when you'll get your 2 remaining smash burgers either. So we got to make some lunch plans for that. That hasn't happened yet.
Well, you're booked. I think you're booked through August, so I think
right
before school starts, I think we'll go out for some smash burgers.
Yeah. Maybe next Christmas. They'll have a whole new lunch special by then.
Sounds good to me.
All right, JT, it's been fun, man. Enjoy the weekend, and most importantly,
brother.
enjoy the sports. Thank you, man.